It's a great pleasure to have the chance to speak to you, so thank you very much for coming
Well,
in.
thanks for having me.
And interesting, I suppose, that the point at which we find you, because this is in some ways the final tour of the album trilogy, I guess, that you've completed
Yeah,
with Mark
yeah.
Lanegan.
The end.
Yeah, in a way. So I guess I'm curious about your thoughts. How does it feel on this leg of the tour at this juncture?
It's been bittersweet.
Mm.
It really has. It's the sweetness is that people seem to appreciate the records. It's been really lovely for me. But yeah, it's time to move on. Definitely.
Well, it's interesting because I guess there's some like nice mathematical patterns to the cycle, because it's the third record and it's completed over, I guess, a 9-year period. Is that right, from the start to the conclusion?
Is it? This is 2011. And then I probably started thinking about it in 2003. So is that 9 years?
Maybe a little bit longer, actually. Maybe 8. Oh, 8, almost 9, I guess.
8, almost 9, yeah.
So does it feel like, therefore, really that you've achieved everything that you'd hoped for the project?
All I know is that when I made the first record, I just was really passionate. Actually, making the records has just been a passion. And I've gone over every budget I had for the record. I don't regret it at all. I think when I was so caught up in making the 3 records and pushing myself to my limits in every way that I maybe didn't think about what I want and stuff. I was just kind of like really not thinking about myself. Maybe with being a little bit older comes a bit more clarity. Before I'd be vague and I'd be like, oh, whatever. Yeah. But now I'm like, I think I could be clearer about my goals or something. Yeah. Like I think when I was younger, I just kind of drift along.
So in some ways, this has been an intense education, I guess, in a way.
For me, it's been, sometimes maybe I have confidence issues or something, but it's been really like heartwarming. I'm like, oh, I can write songs that people seem to really like appreciate or have a place in their heart. But then I think I've always written songs like that. I think it's just I've not realised it before. Even when I was back in the band, like people had a lot of affection for the band, and so there's always been affection out there. I think I just never recognised that. So I'm more have more gratitude, I think, now, which I think is a good thing.
Well, I guess maybe if we could talk a little bit about the third album, Hawk, which came out last year. I guess, in a sense, as you say, it is a 3-part story that you've told, and this is the concluding section of the story. So with that in mind, what were some of the ideas or hopes for the third part?
I think I'm quite an open person, so I almost like have to express myself openly, because if I don't, I feel very restricted and claustrophobic and things just feel wrong. So I think every song I write is expression, and usually, I'm not writing about someone else's life. I'm writing about my own life. I know some people say, oh yeah, I never write, my songs are never personal. I from the way I write, that's just not the case. It's very personal.
Talking about the creative process is a very tricky, I suppose, topic, because it is often a mixture of unconscious and conscious thought. But clearly, this honesty that manifests in your music is very personal, and something which it seems to come directly from a very conscious place, in a sense. How do you describe then that translation of your thoughts and emotions into the songs?
Well, usually it's just kind of like channeling into something. I'm very naturally musical and naturally just expressive and creative, so I just kind of go into my little creative world and stuff just comes out. I probably take it for granted because I can do it, but it's probably a gift. But I think I read something, Bob Dylan said, well, if he didn't pluck them from out of the sky, then someone else would, get the songs. It's all there for the taking for anyone. So,
and it's a matter of applying yourself diligently, I guess, to the craft as well. Does it then become easier, like as you progress?
It's not ever hard, but it can be a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. Sometimes there'll be like one last piece missing or something, and have to kind of pour over something, like maybe on and off for a couple of weeks or for however long, but then eventually something, even if it's just for one line, finish the jigsaw puzzle. But then it usually turns up at some time, but sometimes you can't really set your watch to
Yeah.
when that might be. Sometimes that happens in a matter of minutes, and then other times, you can be hanging around for a little while. But yeah, there is a discipline, because it's easy to have an initial idea, but then it's just having the discipline to kind of, bash it into shape and, go over it with a fine tooth comb. Sometimes I'm not so good at that part, but like I do get around to it eventually.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting because I feel like this is a bit of a transitional period in your life as a person, but also as an artist, kind of moving to Los Angeles, finishing this tour. And I was reading that you've started writing some songs with, is it Victoria Williams?
We've been working on, I'd say we've recorded maybe half a record for her, and like I think I'm playing a couple of shows with her when I get back.
Does this feel therefore like a new beginning then, in a sense?
It feels quite final for me. I think these might be the last shows I play with Mark.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for what it was. I love the songs. I'm really proud of the songs, but those songs will always be there. And it's good to sometimes jump off cliffs and not know what's coming next. I did that when I left the band, and it's kind of exciting. And
is it a case that where you do jump and ask questions later?
I remember when I left the band, I kind of was like, whoops, I've left. And then I was like, oh, I might have to. I remember buying like 2 really big soup pots or big pots, and I was like, I'm going to have to live on soup for years now. But then it was fine. But it can be like, oh, what's going to happen next? But I think that's what makes life exciting, and I think you've got to. I've always followed my heart, and I think, and sometimes that means that you don't always make the easy option, but then I've always done that, so I'm always probably going to do that.